What's up? How you doing? Here we are, January 9th, Sunday, 2023. Beautiful night tonight. Nice and mild, no breeze, nothing. I'm enjoying it. So, got a couple of CDs here we're going to talk about. First one here is Flatt and Scruggs. Probably in the year 2023, not many people know these guys, but these guys are legends. Flatt, great guitar player, great singer, and Scruggs, I don't think you could find anybody who can play the banjo better than him. Bluegrass inventors, or at least they were the first. 50 original bluegrass classics on this CD. The Foggy Mountain Sounds of Flatt and Scruggs. So, look at that. I highly recommend this CD. Great driving CD. Get in your car, put in the CD, crank it up, put the bass up, and listen to these guys. Now, maybe a lot of people don't know who they are until I mentioned that they were the ones that did the theme for the Beverly Hillbillies, the Ballad of Jed Clampett. And so once I say that, you should know who they are. But there's, 50 songs on here? 50 original songs. Need to listen to something other than what's being played on the radio these days. I mean, that's good. I listen to that stuff too, the brand new stuff coming out. I'm not one of those old people that has given up on new music. I still, I listen to the old stuff, but I also keep up with the new stuff. A lot of people, it's pretty common that you tend to listen to the music that you were hearing in your prime. So from the ages of, say, 16 to maybe 30, 25, 30, around there, whatever you were hearing in those days, that's basically what you keep listening to the rest of your life. But I continue. I listen to the old stuff before my time, during my time, and the stuff that's popular now. Nice cold water. Nice. Anyway, go home with your car with that little muffler. So then I have another one here, brand new. I mean, I bought it new. It's been around a while. Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. This is a great band. John Bonham, probably the greatest drummer in rock and roll history. There's other guys that are great, close to him, but he's considered to be one of the, he's considered to be the best in rock and roll. And, of course, Jimmy Page. You don't need to say much about him when it comes to guitar playing. Robert Plant. Anyway, there's a story behind this CD that I'm going to discuss here in a second. Kind of tough to see if this was an album you could see it better, but in the dark here. So, I was a kid. I was with my father. And we ended up driving by this house. It had outside, this is 1977. The year is 1977. And we were going to visit this person, but we drove by the house to park in the front, and he had a car for sale. Big for sale sign on the window. And it was a Mercury Marquis Brom, 1973 model. Might have been a 74. I think it was a 73. But anyway, we go inside. My father's talking to the guy, and he's like, "Hey, I see the car in the front there. I mean, in the driveway. It's for sale, and I'm interested in a car for my wife." So anyway, they negotiated back and forth a little bit, and my father bought the car. Got it for my mother, who looks like an ant inside that car. Car looks like a big warehouse, and my mother looks like that big at the window. So, very big car, big motor, 429 in it, I think it had. 8-cylinder, massive trunk. You know, you didn't have to go to the airport twice. You could fit all the luggage in there in one shot. And inside it was very roomy. All the modern technology, very smooth ride, very, very nice car. So in that glove compartment was a 8-track cassette, 8-track back in those days, and it was this one here. Not this one, but it was the 8-track version of this, Houses of the Holy by Led Zeppelin. And I always remember that with these kids climbing up these rocks. And so the funny thing about that 8-track of this CD is that not one time did I actually put it in and hear it. Kind of looked weird to me. Didn't look like music I was interested in back then. I remember I bought, what's his name there, Leif Garrett, with the Beach Boys songs on there and a bunch of other 60s songs, and I played that one constantly. But this one here, I would look at it and put it back in. Never heard it once until I got a little bit older, and I heard the songs of Led Zeppelin, and I was blown away. The guitar playing is just awesome. So, and I think they broke up when Bonham died, so around 1980. Out of respect, I guess. I mean, I think they could have continued with someone else. I don't know what Ringo Starr was doing back then. So that's what happened, and we had that car for about 7 years, and then we got rid of it. We got another car that was not as big, but almost as big. So this one is a deluxe CD edition. I think it's newly remastered, and it has a bonus CD in here. But yeah, Led Zeppelin was very impressive for the time they came out, and still today. I mean, you could pretty much say that for heavy metal sounding music, they were the fathers. They were the fathers of that kind of stuff. And I will mention one of my favorite musicians of all time, Muddy Waters. I went through a period of time, I'm still a fan, but I went through a period of time where Muddy Waters music was all that I was playing. And I had that chess, what do they call those? You know, where they have all the CDs in there. Anyway, I had that, you know, it had a booklet inside, I had a bunch of CDs, and I would play them constantly, but You Shook Me. And the reason is a favorite song of mine from Muddy Waters. I think Willie Dixon wrote it, but the reason I mention that is because on their first, I don't have their first album here, but on Led Zeppelin's first album, I think they covered a bunch of blues songs, and one of them was You Shook Me. And for me, my favorite version is the Muddy Waters version. So, of course, I'm a big fan of the blues anyway. B.B. King, Muddy Waters, the Mr. Lucky there. I can't think of his name right now. This Is Hip Pretty Mama. Yeah, I can't think of his name. He released Mr. Lucky. And he was old at the time, but Mr. Lucky, that album where he's in front of this 1950s car, was a really good album. It's probably one of his best albums, even though he did it at a you know, advanced age. John Lee Hooker just escaped my mind for a second, then it came back, and John Lee Hooker. I'm a huge fan of John Lee Hooker. So anyway, yeah, that's that Muddy Waters. The only thing I regret about him is that I wasn't old enough to see him. You know, I mean, I was around, but you know, back in those days, I wasn't going to see concerts. But I wish that I had gone to see Muddy Waters. I did see B.B. King, however. So, but Muddy Waters was my favorite blues musician of all time. There was a time, once again, when I would go quite often to the House of Blues. And I will mention, I don't know what their names are or were. I don't think they're still around. But in the early 90s, when I would go to the House of Blues a lot, one time when I went, there was a band from Harlem, New York. And the youngest guy in that band must have been about 75 to 77 years old. But they were all approaching 80. And they were great blues musicians. I don't know what their names were. The Harlem something, I think. I mean, I'm sure if I call up the House of Blues and I say to them, hey, you guys booked a band back in 90, 91, and they were from Harlem, bunch of old guys, they played the blues, they probably have a record of who they were. But I don't think they're around anymore. 30 years later. Unlikely. And the old guy who looked like he was like 84 years old, he was right next to me playing the piano, because I was right by the piano, and he was sipping down the whiskey on the rocks. And he was like, playing classical blues, which they were great. I'm telling you, I wish I could remember their names. I'm sure they have a CD somewhere. And then the guitarist, who was the lead singer, he looked like he was about 78 years old. He had some tight Burt Reynolds pants on, and had an afro going, and he was playing that guitar like he was 25. So, but I've been a fan of the blues since 89, around there, and I'm still a fan. I love those guys, and what I'm going to mention about them is that the blues are the father of rock and roll. Those are the guys that came up with the sound that rock and roll was based on. They talk about all these other guys that created the rock sound. They may have created that sound, but it's all based on the old timers that came before them, which the blues. So yeah, Muddy Waters, Mackenzie Morganfield, big fan of his. Even today, I have a CD in the car and I play his music. So that's it. That's the story of the Houses of the Holy. And don't forget to pick up a copy of this and drive around your neighborhood with the windows down and the radio full blast. You won't believe how good of a banjo player this guy is. And I'm a fan of the banjo. Why? Because of Deliverance. I'm a big fan of Deliverance, and that kid that played the banjo, the dueling banjo song there. You can find him in real life now, older guy, but he never played the banjo. He just did the fingers and that ridiculous grin. I don't know how they found that guy, but that guy had to look for that part. But I'm a fan of that movie. That's why I like the banjo. But I don't want to be in some area deep in the woods and hear a banjo. Anyway, that's it. Dinner's ready. I'm gonna go eat. I may be back. You never know. Maybe there's more to say. So that's it.